This is the board for the Elijah course, which is coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So I needed to prepare this. And this is the triptych that I've been working on. You can see I've assembled it now. These are the two side doors. I've stuck these two pieces, which are the arch. I just sort of take this up a little bit, you can see there. I've glued and nailed this into place. I've put some gesso on, but this part here, where there's a join, I've started to fill it with gesso, and I need to continue to do that because there is a, you can see where it's sort of got a little gap here. But I also need to smooth this off, and I need to certainly smooth this board. So I thought I would show you how I'm going to do that, a couple of little tricks. First of all, when I put the gesso on, I've used this silicone baking spatula for smoothing out icing, I think it is. It creates a really quite smooth surface, and the result of that means that you don't have to sand so much. If you use a brush, you get all sorts of ridges. So when you're preparing that beautifully immaculate smooth surface, especially for gilding, you've got to take all those ridges off before you even start to prepare the gesso that you're actually going to be using. And that's a terrible waste, I think, of resources. It's a lot of time, and it's also very messy. I hate it. So, first of all, I've prepared it using one of these. I've got some gesso here, which is cold, and I just want to take a little bit of this, and I'm going to put it on cold, just into the gap that I've got here. Because I'm trying to fill this little hole, when you put the gesso on in this sort of jelly-like state, it tends to sort of stain the gap a little more. So I'm just sort of building up a little more, just like filling a hole in a wall, but I'm just using the gesso to do it. Smooth that over. Nice thing about the silicone is it gives you a nice smooth finish. Okay, so now I can leave that bit to dry. So that's easily done. I'll now put my lid over on here. Put this back on here, and I need to wash that off in a moment. But I want to show you how I'm going to prepare this surface, which I've done the gessoing on. Now, the smoother you get it, the better, especially if you're gilding. How do you see where all the little ridges are? Now, in this sunlight, you can see I've got some nice sunlight on there. I can see the ridges quite clearly. But once it's in the shadow, it becomes more difficult. And one way that you can improve this, I have a little sort of wad of sandpaper that you can see here, and I'm using a piece of charcoal, and I'm just going to you can see here how that's sprinkled over. And then I'm just going to rub this across the surface. Going to close these doors because I don't want to get too much dust onto here, and in fact what I will do is sheet over the top of this just to protect it. And so now I've got my surface. You can see very clearly, even here, where there are sort of blemishes. I'm going to scrape this, and I'm going to use this. This is a blade from an old plane. And this is sort of replicates what they used to use. Cennanini's book, describing medieval processes, describes a scraper. So So I can show you here how you can see little ridges showing as dark marks. So I'm just sort of taking off a very thin layer, and I don't know if you can see here where the sort of darker lines, that shows you where it's a deeper recess. So using the scraper, I can sort of get rid of those marks very clearly. So it's going to give me a really good surface, and then I can finish it off with some 800 sandpaper. I'm just using the weight of the blade, so I'm not putting any pressure on, and that way you avoid sort of gouging the surface, which you don't want to do. That's the very opposite of what you want to do. And because these are very they're not very deep ridges that the charcoal has gone into, you just need to be very attentive to it until they disappear. So now, if I bring that over, you can see there is, if I put it in that light, I wonder if you can try to get this so you can really see it nicely. Because that's really removed all those dark marks. There's just one here, a couple here. So I just need to give that a little more attention, but it's almost all right. And in fact, I'm not going to gild this, so the need to sort of make it really immaculate isn't there. So just gradually work across the whole surface with all of those blemishes have been removed. I'm just going to take a small piece like this, show you that here. So now I'm just going to just lightly take off the last of those blemishes there. Yeah, there we are. So this way I got rid of any main ridges. I've got a nice even surface. I've not had to struggle to see where those ridges were, and this board would be fine to gild, water gilding. All you need to do is just be quite patient really and gentle. As I say, the key thing is how you handle the blade, and to make sure that you're not gouging in, you're not scraping it off. You're literally allowing the weight of the metal to be the force to take that gesso down. So, hope that's been of help, and see you next time. Now then, this now comes the question.